Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Wow, I spit a little spittle right there. Very attractive. But, fuck anyway, what I was going to say is, start my reviews of some documentaries I've been watching. Leading up to, of course, my review of Never Sleep Again, the new Nightmare on Elm Street documentary. But, wanted to watch some old ones. So, his name was Jason. I know I did review this on my old account, but that will come next time. And we start out with Halloween 25 Years of Terror. Now, 25 Years of Terror was 2006. Around 2005-2006 is when it was made. So, this was before the remake, Rob Zombie's remake. I don't even think it was announced by the time this came out, because I think the remake came out 2007, I believe. So maybe it was the time there was, because there Halloween, it was Halloween 25 years, 25th anniversary, and this is a really good documentary. Of course, it's a 2-disc set, just like the rest of these are 2-disc sets. As it says on the back here, you have 80 interviews with cast and crew, including John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, Jamie Lee Curtis, Moustapha Akkad, Tom Atkins from Part 3, Danielle Harris from Part 4 and 5, Catherine Kinmon, who was in Part 4, Nancy Loomis from the first one, Greg Nicotero from KMB, John Carl Beekler, Nick Castle, Ellie Cornell, Dean Cundy, who's the director of photography in the first 3 films, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, Rick Rosenthal, Tommy Lee Wallace, Allan Howarth, even Rob Zombie, Edgar Wright, Clive Barker. Anyway, get into the documentary. The documentary is about 80 minutes long. It's narrated by... Actually, I took notes because I want to make this actually a decent reviews. So I take notes just to make decent reviews. Yeah, PJ Souls does narrate it. I don't know why I have a note for that. It says right there, defended Halloween documentary narrated by PJ Souls. No shit, Sherlock. But I just don't want to forget stuff. I have a shitty memory. And I like the first thing I said was good. See tits. Literally, if you read this, I put PJ Souls and then I put good. See tits. That was my first thought, of course. What I mean by that is the documentary, of course, goes through all films, the first 8 films. I say the first 8 because, again, no talks of a remake, because there's talks of what Halloween 9 will be, what are the ideas for. So this is when there might have been a Halloween 9 and not a remake. But it goes through each film, and it talks about sort of the history of Michael Myers and sort of other people that influence. Does it affect people in real life? You know, all that stuff. And it shows at the convention, stuff that went on at the convention, tours that people took of the locations of the first movie. And like I said, they're good CTists. There's a woman, a female fan, who's very hot, and she actually lifts up her shirt. You like what you see, and you see titties. So this is one of those few documentaries that's not like National Geographic or, you know, National Geographic stuff. You actually, and of course not a documentary on porn. Of course you'd see tits. But this is one of those only documentaries that you actually see tits. And not just from a movie. Like, a woman just shows tits like Girls Gone Wild. You know. So it's very weird. But it goes through each film, like it goes through the first film, how it came to be, and how, you know, Moustapha Akkad, he was producing a film that was like being made $300,000 a day, and here you can make a film for $300,000 total. And basically the making of the first film, how that came to be, how it came out, didn't seem like it was going to do well, badly reviewed. But like the Village Voice gave it a good review, and people sort of looked at it again, gave it a good review. How Halloween how this John Carpenter was talking about how, you know, I found out that it didn't work when it didn't have the score, but when I put the score in, it worked. Yeah, see, Halloween 2. Yeah, Tom Lee Wallace was actually approached to direct Halloween 2, but he just didn't feel comfortable with the script. So they got, of course, Rick Rosenthal, who would do Part 8. And Halloween 2, I know, like, there's a point where John Carpenter didn't want to do a script, but then he's like, okay, you know, like, late night drinking. Okay, how about Jamie Lee is, you know, Michael Myers' sister? And at the time, you know, Halloween was popular, so there was all these slasher films, and John Carpenter felt the pressure of to put gore. So when he wrote the script, he put a lot more gore into it. And actually, Rick Rosenthal didn't want that much gore, so they had sort of little fights about the gore. And it was kind of sad that they didn't have Lance Guest, because you know, I like Lance Guest. You know, Last Starfighter, come on. And it would have been nice to hear from him. It's too bad that I guess he didn't go convention. It's too bad. It's not like the guy's doing anything. Plus, it would have been nice that they mentioned, you know, the fucking scene where he falls on the fucking floor and then smacks his head and he just lies on the fucking horn. Because then there's a deleted scene, if you watch the TV version or some other, where, you know, he's actually alive in the ambulance with Jamie Lee Curtis. And it's one of those things that is like, what the fuck, you know. Also, it's kind of weird how Halloween 2 is the only, well, that and Part 3, I guess, are the only ones who never got special editions. But Halloween 3, of course, Halloween 3, a lot of people hate the fucking movie, which sucks, because I love it, but strange that Halloween 2 never got that. But I know another cool thing is that in second disc, Halloween 2, the guy who plays the cop who gets the claw hammer to the back of the head, he seemed like a nice guy, very willing to talk about the film. Very sweet story about Jamie Lee Curtis, about how I think he had a friend who had back problems, and he went to get the car. And this woman came up to his friend and said, "Oh, what's going on?" He's, "Oh, I hurt my back." He's like, "Any way I can help?" "No, it's okay." He's like, "Oh, I'll stay with you until he comes back. Your friend comes back." And that was Jamie Lee Curtis. So I mean, it was very. I guess that's the kind of person she is. I know there was one point where like a fan was like, she was sort of wishy-washy, but if you get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people bugging the shit out of you, 1, 2, or 5 of them are going to piss you off and be like, come on, I want to eat my dinner, or I want to jerk off, or I want to fucking, do shit. Leave me alone for 5 minutes. You might sound like an asshole, but maybe sometimes you gotta be that way, because sometimes it just has to be. So, they talk about Halloween 2. They have a Halloween 3, and they actually have Tom Atkins interview, which is cool. Moustapha Akkad, who's the producer, which I know the guy made bad decisions, like on Halloween 5 and so on and so forth. Halloween Resurrection. But unfortunately, the guy has passed on. May he rest in peace. Of course, Deborah Hill, which was a horrible story. I think during the last time of her life, she had lost her legs. I think it was some type of cancer, some type of something very horrible. So I feel very bad for Deborah Hill. It was after this documentary that both of them passed away, which is sad. But I like that Moustapha Akkad said that Halloween 3 is a good movie. It's just shouldn't have been called the title. And they talked about how, this guy Nigel, I guess he had written these Quartermass movies, which I never saw, I've heard of them, and it was too dark and cynical, and Halloween 3 is a pretty dark, cynical movie. But Tom Lee Wallace, of course, they got him to talk, and he talked about the movie and how it came out as a bomb, how it just should not have had that title, it should have just been Season of the Witch or whatever, The Night No One Came Home, anything like that. And again, they go through each sequel. Halloween 4, how John Carpenter had an original story about how Halloween was banned, and they didn't want to suppress the memory of Michael Myers, but ultimately that sort of ironically brought Michael Myers back. I don't know, for some reason, it kind of reminded me of Wes Craven's New Nightmare. What Wes Craven's New Nightmare would do with, although it wasn't like a movie within a movie, it was just, I don't know, the idea of, I don't know, fuck it. But, talking about working on Halloween 4, and, some of the actors, like the guy who played the boyfriend, he's like, yeah, people think, my hair was crushed, that it was a prosthetic, but really it's just, placement and sound effects and stuff like that.